I think this was the best hire, the best available coach for the New York Rangers. All these other guys they were talking about, besides Babcock, who since he's left Detroit has been absolutely horrendous. He went to Toronto. He was horrendous.
And now he goes to Columbus, another young team. Have fun.
He couldn't get that team in the playoffs. And when he did get that team in the playoffs, they lose in the first round.
They blew a 3-1 lead to the Montreal Canadiens. That says all you need to know.
Babcock was not the right fit for Lou Lamoriello and that Toronto Maple Leafs team at the time. He gets fired. He's been waiting for an opportunity. Now he goes to the Blue Jackets. You look at the Rangers, there were a couple of names that stuck out. The AHL head coach for the New York Rangers organization, and Knobloch, who a lot of people thought was a good fit for the New York Rangers. I've heard Mark Messier's name, who, by the way, wasn't even interviewed this year. But a lot of people have said that when he was doing the analyst work over there at TNT, they didn't like what he had to say. Wayne Gretzky had a chance to coach. It didn't work out. Mark Messier's never had a chance, and maybe one day he will. Maybe he won't be with the New York Rangers, but as long as Chris Drury's there, it doesn't seem like he's going to hire Mark Messier. I like this move. When you look at the position that the Rangers were in, they needed to bring in a veteran coach. They needed to bring in a guy that is a team-friendly coach, but a guy that likes that gritty, grindy type of hockey. The Rangers have not had that guy since Tortorella. They brought in Gerard Gallant. Mean guy, has his own way of playing a defensive, offensive style of hockey, but he wasn't that type of grinding coach that I think the Rangers have needed for years. The last time I believe the Rangers were playing top hockey was with Tortorella. And now they have a chance to win with Peter Laviolette, who's won before with one team, the Carolina Hurricanes, and he's been to the Stanley Cup with two other teams. How many coaches get a chance to do that? I think Peter could have won with the Predators. I remember that year and that rise. They were one of the best teams in the NHL. In the NHL finals, they bumped into a really hot team.
They lost against the Penguins, and don't forget that Game 6, too. That goal shouldn't have counted.
No.
Maybe Nashville wins that series.
Yes, Peter Laviolette, he will be introduced next week. I knew him a little bit because that was when I became an Islander fan. So I remember when Mike Milbury introduced Peter Laviolette and then fired him. And I think Peter Laviolette has had a fantastic career. He's been in the league for 21 years. This guy is 8th all-time in wins. If he continues coaching for another 10 years, which he possibly can, Peter Laviolette could go down as the greatest coach in NHL history.
The Rangers have had a compilation of talent that they should be able to win with more. We've seen big moves, flashy moves, big trades in this front office. Coaches, like you were saying, with Knobloch really developing these players well. There's a couple of concepts, though, that they're missing, and I think Laviolette is definitely going to help fill those, one of which is the forecheck in the playoffs, especially with the forwards themselves. Outside of Kreider and Trocheck and maybe a few of the fourth liners, they didn't really have a lot of forward defense. Their raw defensive depth, I think, is good, but they needed more guys to hit.
Scotty Bowman is the all-time winning coach in NHL history. Right. He has 1,244 wins. Peter Laviolette has 752 wins. Peter Laviolette is 58 years old. Usually, if he's a good coach, he'll coach to his late 60s. So if Peter coaches for another 7 NHL years, he could pass Scotty Bowman. He's averaging between 40 and 50 wins a season. So he would have to coach another 10 years to break Scotty Bowman's wins record. Can he do it? Yeah, depending on the team. I don't think he'll be the Rangers coach for 10 years. But I can tell you this. If there's anybody that can bring a championship home to Madison Square Garden, is Peter Laviolette. I think he's the perfect fit. He's that grind it type of coach. He's a veteran coach that understands how to win. He's done it with 3 other teams. He's coached in 2 different conferences, and he's done it with 3 different teams. So can he do it with the Rangers? Absolutely. The question is, where do the Rangers go? Do they bring in grind it type of players? That's what they need to do. They need a grinding type of team. This is what he did in Nashville. This is what he did in Carolina. This is what he did in Philadelphia. This is what he did with the Capitals. As good and as talented as Alexander Ovechkin was more of a grinding player when Laviolette was there. Panarin, I don't know if he fits this type of offense. That's something that the Rangers and Chris Drury is going to have to decide to do with this offseason. Are they going to keep Alexis Lafreniere on this roster? Because I just don't think he's a gritty, grind it type of player. Matty Martin is available this offseason from the Islanders. They need to bring in those type of players. You don't need the big-time goal scorers. You need the guys that are going to stand up for the team, stand up for the players. You add that fourth line, that grindy type of line that's going to go out there, forecheck, and do what you need to wear out the other team.